Film Club.
Why is Heston's Ultimate Burger on here in our film club account?
Thank you very much for joining us for one more round. And
Waitrose, Heston's Ultimate Burger.
welcome back to Film Club episode 18.
Bloody hell.
I'm one of your hosts, Andy Harrison, and to my right is your other host,
Yes, it is episode 18.
Andy Donaldson. Every single week in Film Club, we invite you guys along to watch a film with us. Hopefully we can rip this apart, we can talk about it, we can see what works, what doesn't work. This week we've been watching...
I don't know. What We Do in the Shadows by Taika Waititi. What We Do in the Shadows. And yeah, it's... well, I tell you what, there's one thing that I was surprised about. This is a vampire movie that I really enjoyed.
Go on, give us the rundown. What happens in this film, and what is the
well,
principal concept of this
It starts off, it's essentially a mockumentary about a group of vampires that live together as flatmates. There's 4 of them. And it just gives you a little backstory into them. It's about what they do actually through life. It's like the upcoming to this kind of like undead festival at the end of the year. And it's like they have a documentary crew that follows them around. And it's, you know, anyone's seen The Office, anything like that. It's a mockumentary style like that. And it kind of goes through what they do to the point where they entice people back to kill them. One of the guys end up turning into a vampire, and it's on about like how this guy, what's he called again? He's called, holy shit, Nick. So Nick ends up like kind of like fucking up the whole like kind of group, you know, the relationship, and then there's all these like back and forth and just like on-screen arguments and stuff like that. And the whole thing is done through like some hilarious jokes, like proper subtly hilarious jokes, but sometimes big ones. And then it kind of erupts into this like everyone's against each other, but like they're all like love each other. They kick Nick out, don't they? And then it kind of comes to this undead ball at the end where it's just like, yeah, this happens, and it's hard to explain. It's essentially following around a fictionalized life of a group of vampire friends in modern day. Like these guys go back from the Middle Ages, from a couple of hundred years ago.
Not a real life of a real vampire.
Well, the thing is, it's done so well. It's honestly, it's absolutely hilarious. I'm so, because what brought me into it is a few things, and I remember reading this article that I will go into a bit more because I need to do a bit of backstory before this article puts proper thing down.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's good.
I'm looking forward to trivia time.
Thank you. So essentially, it's I read this something and I started watching all these YouTube clips of What We Do in the Shadows, thinking, this is actually really funny. Never actually saw the whole thing in context until we watched it for this session. And it was, honestly, it makes everything better that I've seen put into context. It's one of those films that all these little clips that you see on YouTube, now I've seen them and now I understand the context. You watch them, it just, Taika Waititi, hard to pronounce, he directed, starred in it as the main, one of the main guys, pretty much the main one out of the 3, more or less.
Yeah, like he kind of takes the protagonist role, but not quite at the same time.
He's like the kind of motherly one out of the group. And then you got like Jemaine Clement, those will know him from like the Concords band.
Yes,
too. Yeah. He plays like the kind of like the Vlad the Impaler kind of style one. And then you have Deacon, who's like one of the other trio. It's by Jonathan Brewer, who I haven't heard of before. But,
no, I haven't.
But he was brilliant.
He's probably like really famous. And
he could well be. It's New Zealand kind of style film because they all kind of originate from New Zealand. And it's kind of the film that got Taika Waititi into like the public image. And it's based off a 30-minute short, which I forgot to watch.
Cool, I didn't know that. I would have watched it if I'd known.
Yeah. Because you were on about the other week, Spike Jonze did something off a little short.
Yeah, I'm Here, and he did Her afterwards.
Yeah, because Her is based off I'm Here, isn't it?
In a way, it's more like, it's not based off it, where like, you know, like Whiplash was like,
Whiplash is the one we're on about, not, well, kind of Spike Jonze did shorts, but Whiplash is the one that's based off when Jameson, what's his name? I forget his name.
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons, yeah. I know it's Jameson, yeah.
Yeah, he's in it, like, that's basically shot for shot the same thing.
Yeah,
whereas what Spike Jonze was just test ideas in different films.
But a lot of with film nowadays, you kind of like, what's it called? What your mate in Hartlepool, I forget his name, Maxie. What do you get? You get a thing where you get, like, you do a proof of concept footage, then the production say, we want to make this into a bit more.
Yeah. Also, was a short made like specifically for that?
No, I think he just made a short and then said, we want this to be a full-on film, which happens in a lot of cases.
Check it out. Is it called the same thing?
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. What do you think of it?
I think it's really funny. Like this is how I kind of want, if I'm going to go see like a comedy, this is the sort of thing that I'd love to see.
Yeah.
Like everyone in it is genuinely funny. There's some really clever stuff going on.
It really is.
I love all the stuff where it's like, let's take the premise of a vampire put it into different like real world application situations,
Slightly
and
exaggerate
see what
bits,
it does.
yeah.
Like I love the fact that they can't go into a nightclub without being invited in. That's just so funny.
It's really witty, isn't it?
Yeah, and like they get loads and loads and loads out of that joke about them being vampires, and they stretch it really far, and like then they start playing with like some of the zombie stuff and like a little bit of the werewolf stuff, and like they start playing with that sort of material. I do think in terms of story structure, it struggles halfway through.
It might do.
Okay, it's totally an entertaining film.
Yeah.
It's really enjoyable to watch.
And part of that is due to the three of them. Well, even Nick as well and Stu, just their chemistry together.
Yeah.
And they have a really, really good... sorry, I've done it. They have really good chemistry together. Just the way they approach each other, the way they can like bounce off each other. Because I don't know whether this is true, but it comes across as one of those, a bit like Anchorman, for example, where I know it's a weird thing, jumping to Anchorman.
It's just like Anchorman.
It can be like, it comes across as if a lot of it's kind of improvised and like back and forth sort of thing. It comes across that kind of film. I need to check if it is or not. But you probably threw my thing off there, honestly.
Job done.
But it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I really, really, really enjoyed it.
I think my favourite thing about it's probably the performances.
Yes. So
weirdly wonderful. Yeah. Like it's not just like here's a bunch of vampires. Here's three totally different vampires, and then this fourth one who's like Peter's like half a character.
He's like 8,000 years old. He's just really. Tell you what, in the Where the Wild Things Are last week. He reminds me of the one that stands at the end. He's just like yeah. But then you see the end when he's just like in the picture. He's like smiling in a bit.
Yeah, I thought that's so funny when it's all the photos you see of him and he's like weirdly happy. Yeah. But there's the beginning of this. I went into this completely not knowing what to expect.
Yeah.
And I was like, it starts out mockumentary. I was like, okay, cool, this is interesting. Vampire stuff starts happening. Like, right, this is going somewhere pretty unique. I like it. It's like it's got this bouncy sort of lighthearted tone about it. Then they introduced Peter relatively early on. Like, he's genuinely terrifying. Yeah. In the opening, I was like, he's pretty terrifying.
Yeah,
like,
he's
pulling the stone open, and like suddenly Peter's like here, and he's like, he won't look at him. He's like, we're having a flat meeting. You can come if you want. You don't have to. And then he's like, gives him the chicken. And closes it back up. I was like, that's kind of creepy. I didn't know if they were going to make him like an unhinged vampire, and he was going to be like actually a villain of the piece, but I'm glad they didn't. Yeah,
it was a funny part later on, like jump bit like midway through the film, and they're on about Stu, who's their human friend. It's actually Nick's best friend who becomes a vampire, and well played. And then Nick goes to Peter, and he's just having this conversation with Peter. Peter's just there, like proper angry with his teeth and everything, like. Okay. Like, he's completely silent throughout the film, by the way, apart from when he screams. Point is, he's just saying, look, we all like Stu. We're on about going to eat him, but he's actually a really nice guy. If you can just maybe refrain from turning into a vampire, because he's vegetarian and the idea of eating blood.
But I like that in that scene, if I remember right, he seems to have a genuine reaction to it. He's like...
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. So Peter's like, he knows what he's...
Genuine understanding of like, oh yeah, I understand how that would be a problem for him.
It's good. There's a few parts throughout the film, right? So the vampires, they live in modern society. They write about how they fled Europe because of so and so and so and so. They're getting hunted down. I mean, I'm sure Deacon said he was a Nazi vampire at one point.
A Nazi vampire, and goes into deconstruction of like, if you were a Nazi back then, and if you were a vampire back then, if you were a Nazi vampire.
So they all fled to New Zealand, hence why they're there. And when they meet this Nick guy, Nick comes across and he kind of modernizes their kind of life, like, he's like, a catalyst to them proper modernisation. I don't think there's a particular word I was going to use. And then obviously they've got Stu as well, and Stu kind of like introduces him who, it's just like Nick's friend who's like a data analyst or software kind of a database analyst. And he just introduces them all to like technology. And there's like great jokes where it's, who does Waititi or Viago? Because you don't hear his name much, Viago, because he tends to do, like you said, the protagonist role most of the talk. It's always speaking about Vladislav or Deacon. Deacon's the one whose name gets called a lot because he's fine. Anyway, so when Viago's like sending him a text saying there's a crucifix behind you and stuff like that, or like when they're watching the sunrise, or they're on about like
watching the sunrise on YouTube,
looking at pictures of virgins, and then Vladislav goes, I don't think what she's doing is a virgin.
There is some class jokes in this. Like, the one that sticks in my mind is he's got this whole sad thing about his love, and he takes the locket and like he's scanning the locket in, and he prints out a bigger version, like, and then he sticks it to the inside of his coffin.
Yes, and
the camera holds for a second, then you just start hearing. It's like, oh my god,
it's good. I mean, I've just never seen that before, so it probably caught me off guard. And I was like, oh man, I was laughing. Yeah, there's a few films nowadays that makes me laugh out loud like this does. Some other good ones is when he goes into Vladislav's backstory, he's on about how he used to like enjoy torturing people by poking them.
Yeah.
And then Stu, when he showed him, must be Facebook or something, he's like, oh, we could poke her if we want to. And it's just like, Vladislav goes, that would be good. And it's really good, like reference jokes like that. You know, like this film's full of like intertwining kind of jokes, even there that they use again, but in a really more creative manner. It's just exceptionally well written and potentially improvised. I need to check that up, though.
There's definitely improvisation.
I hope so.
If not, I'll be shocked. The way in which some lines are delivered is very, very improvised. And to be honest, that's stuff which maybe didn't hit with me as much. Like I've got a bit of a thing where as soon as I see it's just actors riffing, it's a bit like, okay, you're just saying kind of funny things now. I could do without that. Whereas like the scripted stuff, like the fact he prints off the thing and starts like jacking it in his coffin. It's all really clever. It's all really well delivered and well
it's exceptionally well delivered. Which is interesting because it's a case of, you know, Taika Waititi, who I think excelled in this film. A director actually, not many do that nowadays. You got like people like Clint Eastwood, who like direct and act as well.
Yeah, you get the odd one.
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck, we talked about the other week. By the way, that whole Good Will Hunting opening where we were like, in honor of Ben Affleck finally directing the Batman film, we're doing Good Will Hunting. He's not directing it.
Oh, why?
He just dropped out this week.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought he might have contracted down.
Nope.
Maybe he doesn't like the producers.
They're now running around trying to figure out who's going to direct it.
Yeah, so they shouldn't do it after the Christopher Nolan one. Just kind of like,
yeah. Well, I know what you mean. But anyway, back to what we do in the shadows.
So what got me into this film?
What does Batman do in the shadows?
We'll move on from that. What got me into this film was I read this article. It was I found it on some sort of news site, like probably social media, something saying, "Oh, this is funny." It turns out that they're on about this film, this indie kind of film that's everyone started to love. It was when What We Do in the Shadows first got released. Everyone was like, "This is one of the best comedies I've seen in a long time." And it was all about like the guy in it and what his role is in the film, and it's Stu. So you know Stu, the IT guy, you kind of like think, what is his place in the film besides being Nick's best friend?
Oh, it's just trivia time.
Yeah. So it turns out that Stu is a friend of Taika Waititi that I read later on that he was actually an ex-foul. I think it was an interview with Stu. He was like a flatmate of Taika. And I think this is the article I found before, it's from my stuff, and I'm just like briefly going to go through it now. And it's on about like how Stu, like originally, I think he was helping out with a couple of scenes. In the interview, Stu said he was helping out with a couple of scenes, like as an extra, that they kind of got to talk more, and just be himself. Like, for example, what do you do? Oh, I'd like do data analysis and stuff like that. Like, apparently that might be like real. Like,
that's class.
What this article's saying is it was like actual shot stuff, like scripted stuff, and there's actually like stuff maybe where the actors are actually, as actors, saying, "Oh, you know, what do you do, Stu?" And he's just like there, pretending to be there, you know.
So Stu's like one of the funniest things because like he doesn't say a lot.
Exactly.
But they all just love him for some reason.
But the thing is, this is why I think that, like, now you know this bit of trivia, like, and I'm going to go and like bob onto it, is I hope this changes your perception of the middle of that film. Mm-hmm. So what happens in the middle of the film is it all kind of centres around Stu in some respect. Like, they all kind of want to be his friend, and like when they go to that monster ball, no one wants to kill Stu and all this, and you got the werewolves. Stu ends up becoming a werewolf, and it joins the vampires and werewolves together because they were proper dicks to each other before, weren't they?
Yeah.
Werewolves, not swearwolves.
That's such a good joke.
Who, by the way, the alpha male of the werewolves is also in Flight of the Conchords. It's been ages since I win it.
Which I thought was great, like that scene where they're all
throws a stick and he's just like, no, come back.
No, when they're all getting changed to the trees, it's like, right, guys, take off any clothing that you make sure you want to keep.
Because they're in the middle of transforming, aren't they? They're in the middle of transforming. It's like, if you like that shirt, take it off, make sure Or
he comes up to him and he goes,
joggers? You know, your legs expand, it goes into the joggers, jeans are going to rip.
He comes up to him with a combination lock and he's like, did you forget the combination? He's like, why did you bring a combination lock? I lost the key last time.
It's really humour done exceptionally well. So going back to my point about Stu, he's this guy that he's just literally an IT guy. He's an IT guy that's just so happens to be mates with the director, who features more and more into this film, and in the end has this vital role where he kills the Beast's husband by impaling him with a static spike. Like I said, becoming a werewolf, joins those friendships together. And it's just literally, I don't know if the correct word is meta, I don't know. It's literally like, it's a guy, a normal guy in real life that's not even an actor, becoming a central character in the film that plays, not even a fictionalized version of himself. He literally plays Stu up until he becomes a werewolf.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I just think that's absolutely incredible to be able to
That's
write
like
that
and
and
great
to
example
improvise.
of totally improvising, not only like bits of dialogue, but like the script on the go as well,
Yes,
and being like,
yeah.
that's working. Let's keep doing that. Let's make it part of the story.
Because would this film be funny without that kind of Stu context?
No,
in it?
like good on them for totally embracing that during the filmmaking process. It made for like a really unique film.
It did. It really did. Yeah. There's just some great parts about it, and in the end, it's the catalyst of them, modernizing through, use of technology and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was genuinely, when I read that article, I was just like, I want to see this, and then after seeing many YouTube clips of all these hilarious scenes, especially the ones because I was looking at the scenes, Stu, what we do in the shadows, watching it, like karate fight and stuff like that, and it was really funny. Then when I watched the film last night, I was just like, holy shit, that's really well done. That's really well done. So credit to Taika, Waititi and the crew. That was honestly, I'm buzzing with them for that.
You have credit.
Cool. So, but if you go into the production part of the film, like the technical production part of the film, is there anything that really strikes you out?
No, I think that's one of the things that maybe it doesn't hold it back in any respect. The film knew exactly what it wanted to be, and it achieves it massively.
Yes.
But it doesn't. That's why I think I'm not blown away by it.
Okay.
Like the camera works. It's lovely, sort of like handheld mockumentary sort of thing. Unfortunately, we have kind of seen that before done, and they don't iterate on it anywhere.
Yeah.
There's no particularly amazing sound design going on. It's all solid. There's no problems with it anywhere. It's all solid. I mean, one of the things I think let me down, I have to check this, but when they kill off one of the cameramen.
Yeah. Oh, it goes fuzzy.
I think I have to check this. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but even when they kill off one of the cameramen, they still use two cameras afterwards, like mockumentary style. I thought what they were going to do at that point was, they've killed off a camera guy. Now everything has to be shot with just a single camera.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't
That
it?
would have been really cool, but even that kind of wasn't capitalised on. With minor detail, minor detail, that's not what this film's about. This film isn't about camera work, it's not about audio design, it's not about music. It's about these weird people. It's presented like a mockumentary.
Yeah.
It's presented like a documentary. It's about these weird people. That's it.
It's a good example of why film doesn't always need a really good production value, technical production value, like cinematography, sound design, stuff like that. There's many other kind of, especially indie films out there that are done this exceptionally well. There's some indie films that use, like Monsters, for example, that use great technical kind of production. But there's films like this where there's a lot more focus on the characters, a lot more focus on the actual script, well, not necessarily script, improvisation, story, and it's brilliantly done. It's absolutely brilliantly done. One thing I will say, though, is the choice of music, and I can't really think about any tracks now, was excellent. It was very, very, it referenced the kind of mood, like the kind of like, the lyrics in the songs, I don't know how many listen to the lyrics, but the lyrics in the songs fit to that particular scene. So maybe like, I'm a vampire, it's just the song's about like a vampire just scaring people, stuff like that.
I don't remember it, to be honest.
It was good. It was really good. And if you watch it again, which I hope you do, have a listen to music and how it references that particular scene. Yeah. And it was really well done.
I'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
I'll take a listen at it. Any more trivia time?
I don't know. I can't think of anything top of my head. Okay, so the reason we're doing this is Taika Waititi actually has another film that I was going to watch last night called Hunt for the Wilder People.
So good.
I need to watch that. And he's also on board to direct the new Thor 3 film.
Yes.
Now, sorry to miss a director that did Thor 2, but I agree with Andy here that Thor 2 was... Thor 1 I enjoyed. And we're
you
fans
don't have
of
to
Marvel
apologise
films.
to that director.
Okay.
He made that film.
I'm a fan of Marvel films, and there's sometimes this and sometimes that. I posted on the Twitter, didn't I? A really good thing about the Marvel's music and stuff like that.
Yeah, the Marvel Symphonic Universe from the guy Tony Zhao from Every Frame and Painting.
Yes.
If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Incredible.
Honestly, I love
video
that.
documentary video. What was that? Video essay. Thank you.
Yes. So there's this, and it's kind of like we're on the subject of Marvel lately. So he's directing Thor 3, and I've really, really high hopes for it. You're a bit worried in some respect because you don't know how Gareth Edwards going from monsters to Godzilla, and you don't know how they'll react with the producers.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's the same thing of taking an indie director who's proven to be really great with indie-sized budgets, and then throwing them into the big Hollywood world
with the producers.
There's a
do
worry.
Do that, do the other.
Yeah, exactly. There's a worry that the studio control can control them a bit more.
Yeah,
and I think we saw that with Gareth Edwards from Monsters to Godzilla. He maybe got hold of it a little bit more when it came to Star Wars.
I think he did really well with Star Wars. Apparently Disney did the reshoot. Anyway, point is, we'll see how it goes. But for now, I'm looking forward to Thor 3.
Yeah, it could be great. We'll see how it goes. He's on a great track record, as far as I'm concerned. He did this, which was...
Does he feature
in the Shadows?
Wilder People?
I don't know, because I didn't know what he looked like until I saw this.
All right, okay.
So he might be in there somewhere. He's definitely not like a main character.
Maybe killer mustache. That mustache is amazing.
And then, for me, Hunt for the Wilder People is better than this. So maybe Thor 3 could be further improvement. We'll see.
See how it goes.
Okay. Let us know in the comments below what you think of what we do in the shadows, or you can hit us up on Twitter. Next week...
We're really unplanned.
This is actually the third week in a row.
We kind of jump into this now.
We haven't properly planned this.
So I've got one. How about the one I mentioned before that you thought there was a more dramatised version of this because we've done so many indies and stuff like that?
Okay. What are we doing?
Social Network. Because, going back to being John Malkovich, there was a director who appeared in that little cameo when they were on about John Malkovich's
David Fincher,
David Fincher.
Doing the edit,
Social
I was
Network.
like, I made sure to put him in because it's David Fincher.
Yeah. So it's David Fincher. It's actually, well, I hope you watch it and agree, but it's a really good film. And I'd quite like to approach it again with this like newfound kind of like analyse the film, see what this happens, because the soundtrack's actually done by, I can't know.
Arcade Fire.
No, it's not. It's...
Fire
Trent Reznor.
In the retro arcade machines.
Trent Reznor, isn't it?
Trench coat of the black design.
So we'll do Social Network. Ignore him. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you guys next week.